Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, so you can hear us, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Please tell us how you are addressed at home.
Sir, I'm called Deepi.
Deepi, right?
Yes.
Now, yeah, good. So we are also going to call you Deepi. Is it right? Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Totally fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So Deepi, tell us the meaning of your entire name.
So the meaning of my entire name. So the first word that you see in my name, Kshetrimayum, it's actually my surname. So we put our surname before our first name. The middle word that you see, that is Deepi, that's actually my first name. And well, it really doesn't have any meaning per se. It was taken by my parents' first initials. So my father's name starts with D, my mother's name starts with P, and that is how DP came along. And yes, and the last is just a way that we refer to when girl children and boy children. So we write Chanu, Laima, or Devi for girls, and some other honorifics for boys. So that's my whole name, sir.
Yeah. Is Manipur a disturbed area right now? I mean, is it formally declared as disturbed area?
Sir, the state government has asked for the central government's armed forces. So formally, one can say yes. But at the same time, it has been taken off of municipal areas, so not entirely disturbed in certain regions, but sure.
There is an ongoing conflict between Manipur and Nagaland. What is that conflict?
So the conflict between Manipur and Nagaland is not so much between the states, but the Naga groups. So there are certain Naga tribes which want a separate Naga limb. So they want certain areas of Manipur, which they consider to be the historical land of the Nagas, to be made into a separate state.
Who are people known as Cookies?
So Cookies is a tribal group in Manipur.
Why are there different armed outfits? Some of them asking for even separation from India. Why are they there in Manipur?
So the different armed outfits, there are complex issues with each one of them, and there are different demands from each one of them. So I would divide them as hill outfits and valley outfits. So starting with valley outfits, such as UNLF, they are demanding for a constitutionally set up government to be put in Manipur. So in the initial phase, when the merger was signed, that the instrument of accession and merger was signed with Raja Pudachandra, the issue was that Manipur already had a constitutionally elected government, and they weren't taken into regard when signing the particular merger, which should have been the case legally, because at that time Manipur was working on the majority vote principle. The valleys, on the other hand, are asking for more autonomy. So, such as the Naga groups asking for a separate Naga limb. The Cookies are also asking for certain autonomy, such as an autonomous district council in the 6th schedule. So every single group in Manipur is having a different demand, and to put it in one sentence would be too much. Yes.
Manipur reflects a contrast. On one side, Manipur is very well known for sports, but at the same time, unfortunately, it is also very known for HIV positive ratio. How do you explain this contrast?
So, I would say that, yes, Manipur has done really, really well in sports. We have big sports stars like MC Mary Kom and, Renedy Singh. And that has to do with the culture of Manipur. We've always treated sports culturally, like in all of our festivals, we've had sports. So despite the infrastructure not being adequate, we do produce a lot of talented sportsmen. On the HIV positive, I would say that the statistics show that the HIV positivity doesn't have much to do with sexual transmission, but the use of injectables. Yeah. So there is a problem of drugs. There is a drug menace there, and that naturally comes from the fact that Manipur is right next to the Opium Triangle, as we call it, and is a frontier state. So, sir, this is why we see such a dichotomy in Manipur.
Okay. You are born 27th of May, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell us the historic importance of the date.
Sir, the only historic importance of 27th May that I know is that the first Prime Minister of India, Shri Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, actually died on that day.
Okay. Define economics for us.
Sir, economics is the study of dividing resources which are limited in the most efficient manner so that everyone is able to get a fair share and live a decent life, I would say.
What is that about multiplicity of demands and scarcity of resources?
Sir, multiplicity of demand and scarcity of resources. So, the way I understand it, I do not know theoretically if there is a theory behind it. I'm not very sure of that. But multiplicity of demands is the ever-growing demands that, with the industrial revolutions that we've had, with the way human beings are growing, there are demands cropping up everywhere. The standards of living are getting better. People want more. But at the same time, the resources on Earth are limited and might not be able to sustain the demand. This is, well, sir, actually, I'm reminded of the Malthusian theory when it comes to that the demand grows at a geometric rate, whereas the supply is growing at an arithmetic progression.
Good. Tell us your thinking behind picking up economics as optional subject.
So the thinking was fairly simple. It was my undergrad subject, so I went with it. It was one of the options as well.
Between micro and macroeconomics, which one do you like more?
So macro.
And between Keynes and Milton Friedman, who do you prefer more?
So between Keynes and Milton Friedman, well, I would say I prefer Keynes more, but Milton Friedman's theory is turning out to be more kind of important in today's date.
Good, good. Over to you, Balla sir.
Thank you, Avinash. Deepi, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
You have a way of, answering very well. And you are looking very nice and very pretty in this sari. This sari, what is it called? What is the type of sari which you are wearing?
Sir, this is the Moirang Tea sari. So it is called Moirang Tea because it comes from the district of Moirang.
Okay. I would like to be enlightened a little more about your state. Can we ask you some questions about that?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
Thank you. What is the state language of Manipur?
So the state language of Manipur is Meitei.
Okay. And what is the state emblem?
The state emblem is Tangla Shah.
Who is the state governor at present?
So the state governor is Mrs. Najwa Heptullah presently.
Your state is also the birthplace of an international sport. Which sport is that?
Sir, it is polo, traditionally known as Sagol Kangjai in Manipur.
Wow. And your state is also the birthplace of a religious dance, which is very famous.
Yes, sir.
What is that?
So that's Ras Leela, the Manipuri dance.
And who named Manipur?
Sir, Manipur was... Sir, I would not know that.
You would not know that. Have a look at that. It's a long, 5-digit name. How many recognized tribes are there in, Manipur?
Sir, presently there are 33 recognized tribes in Manipur.
And how many total tribes are reported to be in the whole of Northeast?
Sir, I would not have the exact number for that.
Who was the first elected chief minister of Manipur?
Sir, the first chief minister of Manipur was Mr. Kshetrimayum.
Pardon?
Sir, Mr. Kshetrimayum.
I thought it was someone called Moirang Kaireng.
Sir, that is his first name.
Oh, that is his first name. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And who is the first elected woman CM of Manipur?
So the first elected woman CM of Manipur. Sir, I don't think Manipur has had.
Which is the smallest district of Manipur?
So the smallest district of Manipur will be Noni presently.
Which one?
Noni. It's a newly formed district.
Okay. It's also called Jiribam, or Jiribam is something else?
No, sir. Jiribam was earlier the smallest district, but in 2016, we had around 9 more districts made. So Noni was one of them.
Which is the longest river of Manipur?
So the longest river of Manipur will be Imphal River.
And which is the state flower?
So the state flower is Shiroi lily.
Very correct. Economics, a little enlightenment will do a lot of good to me. What is the law of macroeconomic control?
So the law of macroeconomic control. Sir, I do know that there is a law of macroeconomic equilibrium, which means that supply side should match demand side, which could mean either savings should match investment or the expectations of your firm should match the actual demand.
What are the 7 famous rules of economy?
So the 7 famous rules of economy.
Or economics?
Sir, I do not remember that really well.
Okay. Have a look at that. Basically, there will be scarcity, inequality, competition, imperfection, all these concepts. There are 7. Who was the father of economics?
So the father of economics is Adam Smith.
Wow. Basic questions of economics.
Yes, sir.
3 basic questions of economics.
So the 3 basic questions of economics is, the allocational question on how much to allocate in the first place, the distributional question that how should it be distributed between different factors, between different people, and the third question would be the third question I cannot remember, sir. So, but I do know that price mechanisms.
You have talked of allocation and distribution, but without production, there is no allocation, there is no distribution.
Yes, sir,
okay?
Sir, I forgot.
So that is the first thing. What will be produced, how it will be produced, and how will the output be distributed? Simple. There is a very famous book called Why Nations Fail.
Yes, sir.
It's the bestseller a few years back. Who are the authors of it?
Sir, Darren Acemoglu, and I do not remember the second author.
James Robinson. And what is the central idea of the book? In one line.
So the central idea is that it is not the resources, but the kind of social institutions that you have, which is the reasons why some nations become prosperous and some fail.
Central idea will be somewhat like, the nations fail because their institutions do not give incentives to save, invest, and innovate. Have you read the book?
That's it. So I did read it a very long time back.
It is a must for your collection. Best of luck.
Okay, so Deepi, you are from Manipur, and I hope you have lived in Delhi for most of the time. I can see you are from Ram College, you did your graduation, but before that, I mean to say your schooling was also from Delhi?
Ma'am, not exactly. My father was in a transferable job, so it was all over India.
So, other than Manipur, you lived at other places?
Yes, ma'am.
Apart from Delhi. Okay. Okay, I'll ask you initially a little, important question. Very recently, United Nations President Envoy visited, with regard to climate and something called as net zero goal for 2050. It's basically about, climate change and carbon emissions. Are you aware about this? And there is some...
Ma'am, yes.
Yeah, just explain it a little bit.
Ma'am, the net zero emissions is a goal that says that the amount of emissions that you do should be equal to the amount of capacity that your environment has to absorb that emission. So, ma'am, that is the definition of net zero emission. And the envoy came to get India on board on the net zero emissions target by 2050.
So shortly, some climate summit is going on to held. Of course, it will be virtual, and it may be sometime the last week of April. Are you aware about that? Even Prime Minister has also been invited. So just give us a good perspective about what it is going on to be.
Ma'am, the climate summit that is being organized, I believe it is being organized by the President of America, that is Mr. Biden. So, well, it is kind of the United States clarion call that they are coming back to the climate question and to meet with 23 leaders of different countries on the discussion on how to go about climate, on the climate goal per se.
Okay. Do you remember way back in 1972, the first climate summit which happened in Stockholm? That time, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, she was also invited.
I do not have much knowledge about that, but yes, the 1972.
Rio de Janeiro, the next one. Okay, you don't.
The Rio de Janeiro, I do, the one where the 3 bodies were made.
Okay. Anyways, now coming to some issues related to women. On March 8th, Women's Day is celebrated, International Women's Day. So can you tell me the importance of this day and a little bit of history of this particular day? And also when United Nations adopted this day as an International Women's Day?
I would not have an idea on the history of the Women's Day, but I would definitely search it up later.
Okay. Have you ever wondered why this day is celebrated and what do we want to, mean about it?
Ma'am, the thought had never come across me until now, but ma'am, now I'm curious about it as well.
There are certain quotations which are now coming in, since you are here, I am here, to say women in leadership, choose to challenge. So, it is coming because women are getting empowered. They are in the key positions. You must study, and it quite relates to celebration of International Women's Day. Okay. Now coming to some typical question from the Constitution. Can you just tell me what is the procedure of the election of the President of India?
So, ma'am, the procedure of election of the President of India is via the Electoral College, which has the elected members of both the center as well as the states which have a legislative assembly. And now the Legislative Assembly of Pondicherry, New Delhi, as well as Jammu and Kashmir. Ma'am, they elect her, they all vote on a basis of proportional representation, on the basis of this to vote.
The whole line is representation with single transferable vote.
Vote, yes, ma'am. I was forgetting that word.
Explain that.
Proportional representation with a single transferable vote is the process in which every single elector actually puts their preference on paper on whom they would most likely prefer. If that doesn't work out, the second likely. So in the first count, everyone's first preference is counted. If that person has more than 50% vote, that person gets voted into power. However, if nobody has more than 50% votes, then the second preference is counted again. And the same procedure is repeated until there is a particular candidate who has more than 50% vote.
Okay, good. On a lighter note, I had my roommate while I was in the hostel. She was from Manipur. Oh. So tell us something about your food, Manipuri foods.
Well, ma'am, Manipur traditionally follows a pescatarian diet. So we eat a lot of fish and we eat a lot of fermented fish at that. We have mostly green vegetables is what we like eating in the form of either a stew or either a dry vegetable. We call it a kangha or a kangsoy. And the most staple diet, the base diet, would be rice.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. Over to you.
Okay, so I have a few questions for you, Deepi. The first one, have you done your tarot card reading for today's interview? How does it look?
Sir, I did do my tarot card reading, and it did bring out the Four of Swords, which means that I should bide my time.
I see. Okay. So you believe in such things?
Sir, on the spiritual or the superstitious level, I would say no. For me, it's more of a relaxation activity, which I do for fun.
I see. Okay. So you intend to do tarot card reading before you actually take your UPSC interview? What if a wrong card comes out? What will it do to you?
So that is why I'm not going to do the tarot card reading before the interview.
Okay. All right. Okay. So there is some tension that is there in Myanmar. And can you describe what it is and with respect to your own state, etc.?
So the tension in Myanmar comes from the February 1st military coup, where the democratically elected government of Aung San Suu Kyi was overthrown. This has resulted in a public outcry of sorts, wherein a civil disobedience movement has started against it. This has also led to a very strong military crackdown, wherein the numbers show that around 500 to 600 civilians have been killed in the crackdown. The effect on Manipur, sir, Manipur has been having, because of the integrated checkpost and a comparatively more open border, Manipur has been seeing an inflow of migrants coming from there.
Okay. All right. Another question, rather few personal questions with respect to your dad. You have chosen IPS as second choice as opposed to Indian Revenue Service. You come from economics background. I would have expected you to choose revenue. Why IPS second?
So the reason that I chose IPS was because of the fact that there was a possibility to go back to my home cadre. That is majorly the biggest reason why I put IPS as second.
Okay. But with UPSC, entire India is your home.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is why I have put in all these states as well as my options.
Okay. You have also mentioned you appeared for Indian Economic Service and you did not actually appear for the exam, or it got postponed, cancelled. What happened?
No, sir. Sir, I applied for it, but I didn't appear for it.
Why?
Sir, the UPSC exam was there before it and I had very little time.
I see. Okay, so let's go back to your previous two attempts. You appeared in 18 and 19. So please give us information about what happened then, how have you improved since then, etc.
So my 2018 attempt was rather an unprepared attempt, to be really honest. I was fresh out of college and was giving all the exams that there were there that I could give, a fresh graduate could give. So my 2019 attempt was a comparatively more prepared attempt. Unfortunately, I could not pass the prelims, and then I prepared really hard for 2020, and here I am.
Okay. So this is your first real interview?
Yes, sir.
Yeah? Okay, very good. Okay, so since you come from economics and your optional is also economics, I just want your views on this LIC privatization that the government has put forth. In general, privatization and especially LIC privatization.
So presently what is occurring with LIC would not be theoretically called privatization, to be honest. It would be called monetization, because we are putting certain shares of LIC while still maintaining government strategic ownership.
Okay.
My thoughts on that, sir, I would say that it's a good decision, because once LIC is listed, it would have to bring out its audited report in the public, and people would be able to see what is really going on in LIC.
Okay. So you in general support privatization, even though LIC is monetization?
Sir, I am not a blanket supporter of privatization. It has to be done on a case-by-case basis, is what I believe.
Okay. And one last question to you. When was Lady Shri Ram founded?
Sir, it was founded in 1952.
52?
Yes, sir. If
it's a guess or you know it?
Sir, I did read upon it. That is what I can remember.
All right. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, Deepi.
Hello, sir.
Deepi, your name is Deepi Chanu.
Yes, sir.
Now, there is another lady with the name Chanu in her name. Iram Chanu Sharmila. What is her claim to fame?
Sir, she had gone on a fast unto death against AFSPA.
What is AFSPA?
Sir, Armed Forces Special Power Act is a legal backing for whenever the defense forces, because defense forces normally are for protecting the nation against external threats. But for defense forces to have the legal backing to be able to protect the people against internal rebellions and internal insurgencies, AFSPA as a law is there in the constitution and the statute.
What is there to protest about the AFSPA?
Sir, I would say, well, in Manipur especially, I would say, because I have more exposure to that. The protest comes from a very complex issue, because I would say the perception is such of the people from Manipur that they feel that AFSPA being put on the people of a particular, of a nation is rather a treatment of them as secondary citizens. However, I would still say that this is a perception that is being, one could say, oiled by the insurgents themselves to keep the sentiments against the state alive. So it's rather a perception.
So, that's it. Sir, I'd already asked you a couple of questions regarding Myanmar.
Yes, sir.
Now, there was a particular order which was issued somewhere in towards the end of March by the Manipur government, which got hurriedly withdrawn. What was that story?
Sir, the Chief Secretary had actually issued this order to all the DCs in Manipur that the people from Myanmar should be politely sent back to Myanmar for whoever is coming and crossing the border.
Really politely?
So that is what the paper said. I wasn't there on ground, so I don't know.
Denial of food and shelter.
Sir, I do not have much information about it.
Hungry man or a hungry person?
Yes, sir. Okay. Those questions were raised, and that's why it was repealed.
But in Manipur, as with Nagaland and with Mizoram, there is a bilateral border trade agreement we have with Myanmar. That's been there for quite some time.
Yes,
Can you tell me something about that border trade?
So this border trade was started in, I believe, 1995, when we had a comparatively open border. Then later on in, I believe, 2007, we got an integrated check post made as well there. What the open border signifies is that up to 16 kilometers of the territory of each region can be accessed without a visa by the people of Manipur and Myanmar.
How many items are there which can be traded?
Sir, I wouldn't have the exact number right now.
It's 22 items.
Okay, sir.
Note that. Now, there is a place in Manipur which serves as the point for the border trade. What is the name of that place?
Samore.
Okay. Now, the Look East policy, in the Look East policy, there is something by way of a trilateral highway.
Yes, sir.
It passes through Manipur.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me about that highway and what purpose it would serve?
Sir, the highway is the Manipur, Myanmar and Thailand highway. This is to connect India via road to the rest of Southeast Asia and East Asia to increase the trade via road.
Is it working that way?
Yes, sir. Sir, it's working presently.
Okay, Deepi, thank you very much. Wish you the very best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. What is the connection of Subhash Babu with Manipur?
Sir, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was the leader of the Indian National Army. And during the Second World War, they had actually come till Moirang and actually put the flag of Manipur on Moirang.
Have you visited Moirang?
Sir, I've visited Moirang, but only Loktak Lake, not the place where they have the INA memorial.
Loktak Lake also is famous. It has a very important geographical feature, which is unique. What is that?
Sir, it has something called as khumdis, which are floating masses over the lake.
Right. What is nudge theory?
So nudge theory is a theory that is propounded by Mr. Richard Thaler, Professor Richard Thaler, which talks about how humans are not rational beings or rational automatons, but can be actually influenced by putting in certain specific information and again to be nudged in a particular policy direction.
Thank you. All the best,
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And we will share our feedback immediately.
Yes.
It's an excellent interview, Deepi. Excellent. We have enjoyed conducting your interview.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So continue your smile. Your voice also reflects good energy level. Continue with that energy level. Just one or two small, whenever you are required to say, I don't know, you are saying it in a very matured and balanced way. So continue to do that. Then you are extraordinarily well informed about state issues. So even there, continue with that. Now, some of your answers may be somewhat brief. Try to sharpen them. I have given a couple of rules to make it so. For example, for one rule, I call it the first sentence rule. What I mean, and I think you have got the point, that on the question being asked, the very first sentence you speak should be the direct answer to the question. That will lend a quality of sharpness to your overall interview also. Your answer to that tarot card thing also was very apt. I mean, very precise, very not showing any superstitious mind for an IAS officer and whatnot. One question I wanted to ask but could not ask you today was why IFS at number 6? You have put IFS at number 6. Why so low down the order?
Sir, I put IFS at number 6 because I personally want to stay in India and be with my family.
Fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. And since you are born May 27th, there could be a lot of discussion on Nehru and his contribution. Contribution to freedom struggle, contribution to making of modern India, and at the same time, some of the sad limitations or unfortunate consequences of his decisions at that point of time. So prepare yourself on Nehru. And I think Parveen Madam is going to inform you about International Women's Day.
Yes,
you will be expected to be, certainly the question will come your way and your answers like all other. But this interview was very good. I would put it to 190 marks. 190 is a very good score, but you are capable of crossing even 200.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. I would definitely put in the work.
Some of my questions you really was not able to answer. However, they were very simple in nature.
Yes,
the first one which I asked you about that climate question. It is a very latest news of 6 March and very widely covered by most of the newspapers, right? So you must read that. And it was an important thing. Somebody visited to your envoy from the United States, John Kerry. And then second thing was again, Women's Day and importance of the celebration, in 1975 when United Nations declared that day to be India, to endorse that thing, made the education direct for all the women who were not, educated from class 1 to class 10 directly to apply for class 10. That was such type of a scheme, and a large number of women entered into education and got their certificates with regard to 10th pass. Then they were eligible to go for higher education, and that happened because many times when you become of some 45 year of age or 35, you don't go again suddenly to the schooling, so you are deprived of the later education. So that was one of the things that happened, and later on, no looking back. Every time we celebrate for some higher step to be taken in that direction. So that's it. So you read a little bit, even if you want, you will read something about women empowerment, which I directly didn't ask you about, but you can, all this will be covered into that. And you being a female candidate coming up to this stage, appearing for the interview, I will suggest you definitely to read for very many governmental plans and policies for the upliftment and empowerment of women, be it in the education, be it in the job sector, be it in the, in all the sectors, there are some of the other schemes which women can take benefit, are taking benefits. So you should be aware of all that. Then there are many, legislations and judgment. However, I have not talked about that in the interview, but I would like to suggest you, not very much as a lawyer or from the legal background, but from the general knowledge perspective, such as, the judgments came past 2-3 years back with regard to that entry of the women in Haji Ali Dargah, that another mandir where women can only up to a particular age, and it has been fought for. Then the triple talaq case, and women's right in the property. And then once the law is being amended, then its actual implementation came with some judgment of the Supreme Court. This some Sarla versus some Rakesh. I don't remember the exact title. Find out.
Co-parsonary case.
Yeah, co-parsonary thing. So these are all the things which you must focus on. Okay, with this, all the best.
About, the feedback on technique, on general awareness, there is nothing to add. And as Chairman Sir has said, that easily you will get around 190. After that, you have the potential to be the topper. I'm not saying it lightly. And I will take a lot of pride if you become the topper of this year, God willing. For that, apart from, look east and act east policy, which you replied well, please prepare on Northeast very well. Yes, because very few from Northeast, they make it to the top list. Yes, and once they find out in the first 20 minutes that you are too good, then the questions will become steep. It is just like Kaun Banega Crorepati. The last 3 rungs are, stiff. So Armed Forces Special Power Act, right? There was huge resentment in Manipur about it. Okay. You know that, famous movie also, that Sharmila incident also. All those things, will be asked. They will be, the uncomfortable questions. And you need to be well prepared on that. I have written a lot of books. I have served in Nagaland for more than 20 years physically. I have visited each and every district in your state, main ones being Ukhrul and, Chudachandpur, where my friend served as SDM and then DM. But what I am saying is that out of all my books, one book which is available on Amazon, in case you find any difficulty, you can contact, Chanakya Mandal. I will give them some complimentary copies. It is Strategic Significance of Northeast by Dr. D. Bhalla. It's a small book. That's why in case you get it, have a look at it, or you may get a e-copy as well.
I will surely look into it.
At a glance, you will get all about, various insurgent groups, the history of Northeast, the tribes. The one question I asked you about the total number is, this region has the highest number of tribes in the world. This region is the hottest biodiversity spot in the world, 7 types of climates in one region. And it has the highest number of flora, fauna, and medicinal plants at one place. So a lot of things about Northeast, which they may ask you about. The moment they decide that they want to give you beyond 210. Okay. So wish you all the best. Thank you very much. It was a real pleasure interacting with you.
The pleasure was all mine as well.
So, Deepi, I echo the sentiments. I just have 2 or 3 points which I want to bring out. They may actually go deeper into this Rohingya issue. We didn't talk about it specifically, but we would definitely expect the Rohingya issue, also things that were declared just last week about how to deal with this issue, etc. I liked your answer on LIC privatization, the monetization aspect of it. Overall, a very pleasant experience, and definitely all the answers that you gave were spot on. They were very, very impressive.
Yes,
it was not only good, it was enjoyable. Good luck.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Same thing, DP, echo the sentiments. All the points which I would like to have conveyed have already been conveyed. You come from the Lois caste.
Sir, Lois, yes, sir.
So now a little bit on that, the conflict with the Métis, that part,
yes, sir.
Be prepared for it, because that has been an old standing, very historic, that standoff.
Yes, sir.
On economic theory, maybe, a little bit of brushing up.
Yes, sir.
But you were good on the Northeast. I was very satisfied with your answers. I thought you will miss on the bilateral border trade, but you knew everything about it, which was very, very impressive. And that's about all. Enjoy yourself. And really hoping to see your name very high up in that merit list. Sure.
I'm hoping that as well.
All the best.
Thank you, sir.
Best of luck.
One small last part, Deepi.
Yes, sir.
On a couple of questions, you wanted time for thinking, but at that point of time, you were looking down.
Yes, sir.
I don't know whether it is because it's an online interview, but continue to maintain eye contact with the panel. Even if you want to think, don't neither look down nor look up like at the sky, but maintain the eye contact. A very small point, like all of us agree, it's all excellent. We look forward to your sure success.